Howdy, I'm Derek from Heckler. Today, I'm going to walk you through the assembly of your Heckler Framework. I'll take you from unboxing to parts on the floor stage to assembly and leveling all the way to device configuration and power-up, and call out a few tips and tricks along the way to make your first build as easy as your 50th. Together, we'll assemble a 3-bay system. Rest assured, the procedure remains the same whether you're building a single-bay solution, a 3-bay solution, or a 12-bay solution. As far as tools, you'll want to have the following items: a carpeted floor, moving blanket, or drop cloth, a bubble or spirit level or a digital level tool, a laser line level, masking tape, a quality steel and wood stud finder, a pencil or pen, Post-its, these are optional, and a power drill with a small bit for pilot holes, as well as a 3/4 inch step bit. Your Heckler Framework components ship with the hex key you'll need, but if you'd like to use your own, you'll need a 6mm hex driver or bit. Let's start by assembling your Heckler Framework structure on the floor. We'll assemble the structure consisting of legs and beams face down on the floor, directly in front of the wall where your structure will be installed. If your floor isn't carpeted, lay down moving blankets or drop cloths to protect the parts from scratches. A 3-bay build of Heckler Framework includes 3 beams and 4 legs. If you were building a 4-bay structure, you'd need 4 beams and 5 legs, and so on. Place the legs and beams down in this arrangement. Working left to right, slide the end of the first leg through the end of the first beam, like this. When oriented correctly, the repeating pattern of square column sockets will face upwards and away from the wall. Once fully seated, the bolt hole in the leg will align with the bolt hole in the beam. Insert a lock nut into the hex-shaped hole on the rear of the beam and hold it in place with your thumb. Insert an assembly bolt through the front of the leg and beam and loosely fasten by hand the bolt into the lock nut. No need to fully tighten at this point. You'll tighten these once the structure is upright. Repeat this process for each of your legs. Once you have the structure assembled, you'll use it as your guide to help determine the location of your wall anchors. Upright the structure and lean it carefully against the wall in its intended final location. Large structures will require multiple people for this step. Place masking tape on the wall corresponding to each leg's position. Then rest the structure back on the floor. Next, locate and mark your stud locations between the far left and far right legs of the structure at the anchor installation height. If your structure uses tall legs, mark the wall 35 inches above the finished floor. If your structure uses our short legs, mark the wall 27 inches above the finished floor. Now, place your laser levels line on the appropriate mark. Place masking tape across this line. Using an appropriate stud finder, mark the tape with the left and right edge of each wall stud along the length of your structure. Select the stud that is closest to the center between each pair of legs. Mark your anchor location centered on this stud at the height of your laser line. Repeat this for each span between legs, but don't put away your laser level. We'll be using it again soon. Now let's drill. Quick tip: if you have Post-its handy, fold one in half and attach it below the area you'll be drilling. This is a handy way to catch the small amount of dust created by drilling. Start with a small pilot hole to ensure you've hit a stud. Drill through the drywall and the stud. Now, we'll drill a larger hole for installing each toggle anchor. High-strength toggle anchors suitable for use with steel studs are included with your beams. To drill a hole in the steel stud large enough for the included toggle anchors, use a step bit to drill through the drywall and the steel stud to create a hole approximately 3/4 inch in diameter in the steel stud. Install your supplied toggle anchor and fasten a supplied eyelet lag bolt and washer to the toggle anchor until snug. Repeat this process for each of your anchor locations. Note, if your walls have timber studs, you won't be using toggle anchors. Rather, you'll want to install eye bolts for wood such as the ones available through the provided link. Now that eyelet bolts are set in studs, you can upright the structure and position it in its installation location. But before you do, make sure the leveling feet and wall spacers are installed in their correct positions. For a consistent starting position, check that your leveling feet are fully screwed in. Each leg of your Heckler Framework should have a wall spacer. These help ensure your legs maintain their correct distance from the wall. To install, insert the spacer and press downward until fully seated. Note that the downside text on the part should face, well, down. With the leveling feet and adjustable wall spacers, you can make level and alignment adjustments to your structure at any time by simply turning the feet and these knobs on the spacers by hand. Now you can upright the structure. For safety, route the lashing straps that will hold your Heckler Framework in place. The following path for the lashing strap is important. With the buckle on top, run the strap under the beam, up through the eyelet lag bolt, and back over the beam. Then insert into the buckle per the manufacturer's guidance. As the next step is to install the shelf supports to the leg, you'll want the lashing strap to remain loose for now. Speaking of the shelf supports, let's install those now. Each shelf support slides into the top of the leg like this and fastens to the leg from the back using this provided bolt. Use the provided hex key to fasten this bolt. Twist the shelf support's wall spacer adjustment knob to ensure it's fully retracted. Repeat the process for each leg. You'll notice each shelf support features 2 integrated sliding panel dividers. You'll want to extend these features wherever your 2 panels meet. In other words, all inner legs. For the shelf support atop the far left leg and the far right leg, keep these features retracted as they allow your longer outer panels to extend beyond the legs. Now, to help ensure your leg spacing is consistent, install a crossbar between each pair of legs, like so. It's a good idea to install the crossbars at their lowest possible position. With your legs and beams fully assembled, fully tighten the screws fastening each leg to the beam. Then, push your structure against the wall so that all adjustment knobs on the leg spacers and the shelf support spacers make contact with the wall. Next, you'll quickly check that the structure is level, straight, and plumb. First, break out your laser level and set the laser line at the top edge of your beam. Adjust your leveling feet from left to right until the laser line sits uniformly across the entire length of the beam. Next, you'll check your beam for straightness. Imperfections in the straightness of your wall may transfer to your beam. This is your chance to adjust for that. To do this, you'll want your structure held firmly to your wall. So snug your lashing straps, but do not fully tighten. Stand to one side of your structure, then peer down the length of the beams. Check your beam for straightness. Working from left to right along your structure, adjust the knobs on the shelf supports as needed to straighten your beam. Lastly, use your level to verify that the front face of each of your legs is vertical. To do so, push the leg toward the wall to ensure the lower spacer on the leg is making contact with the wall. Check the front face of the leg for level. Turn the adjustment knob on the lower spacer as needed. Working left to right, repeat this for each leg. Now that your structure is level, straight, and plumb, let's install some display columns. With your Heckler Framework structure assembled, you can install displays of virtually any size, anywhere along the beam. Feel free to get creative with your builds. We'll demonstrate installing displays in a couple different configurations to learn the tips and tricks for easy display mounting. Let's start with a single centered display. First, find the center of your structure. For a structure with an odd number of bays like you see here, the center will be the center socket of the center bay, right here. For a structure with an even number of bays, the center will, of course, be the center leg. Note the horizontal mounting pattern of our display. In this example, you would have a VESA 400 pattern on your display, so count to 200 in each direction from the center point. Each beam socket is spaced 50 millimeters on center, so you'll count by 50. 50, 100, 150, 200. Loosen your straps slightly during this process to create a small amount of clearance for the columns. Before installing a column, install the rear bumpers that will make light contact with the wall. These twist in easily. Next, slide the column into the socket like so. You may notice these tabs at the bottom of your columns. Ensure these tabs protrude through the bottom slots of the beam and that the columns are fully seated. Fasten the column in place. Use a level to quickly check that the column is plumb. Before mounting a display to the columns, you'll want to install the Backsplash panel support. Identify the appropriate keyhole, in this case the third from the bottom of the column, and pop it into place like so. Repeat this process for your second column. Once your columns are installed, tighten all lashing straps. Now, let's prep your display for mounting. Fasten the supplied mounting set screws into your display by hand. We've supplied both M6 and M8 mounting screws. Next, fasten the display anchors onto the set screws until the anchors are snug against the surface of the display. For convenience, it's a good idea to attach your power, HDMI, and Ethernet cables to the display before mounting the display. Next, we'll want to mark the top mounting hole we'll use when mounting the display to the columns. To do this, let's first determine the desired height of the bottom edge of your display from the finished floor. In our case, our structure has tall legs, which positions the shelf at 40 inches AFF. We'll be placing a video bar on the shelf that is 7 inches tall, so we'd like our display's bottom edge to be at 48 inches AFF. Next, we'll measure the distance from the bottom edge of our display to its upper VESA mounting holes. In this case, that's 30 inches. 48 plus 30 is 78. We'll measure 78 inches from the floor and place a small piece of masking tape on the outer side of the column, aligned with our closest mounting hole to our measurement. That tape will be a helpful indicator while we lift the display into place. Repeat this for the second column. For safety and because you'll want to see the mark you placed on the side of the columns, have 2 people mount your display. Each anchor on the patent-pending Heckler display mounting system simply enters the upper area of the keyhole, then lowers to seat in place. Within each anchor is an integrated steel nut, so your display is fully connected to the steel structure with steel fasteners. Approach the column, align the upper display anchor with your mark, insert all 4 anchors into the opening of the keyholes, then lower until fully seated. Guide any cables or connections down the back and behind your beam. They'll be hidden once you put your shelves and backsplash panels in place. Now that we've mounted a single centered display, let's take a moment to demonstrate how to mount 2 tandem displays. To do so, find the center of your structure. Next, we'll measure the distance from the outside edge of your display to its nearest VESA mounting point. Mark this distance away from the center of your structure. Select the column socket just outside of this measurement. Install your first column here. Next, measure the distance between the horizontal VESA mounting points on your display. Transfer this measurement from your first column to locate the socket for your second column. Then, install your second column. Mirror this process to determine the location of your second set of columns. Next, let's mount your shelves. To install, place a shelf on a soft surface right side up with the front edge of the shelf facing you. It's helpful to install your leftmost shelf first, then work towards the right side of your structure. Note that outer shelves are longer than inner shelves. Install your shelves from left to right. Your first shelf will be an outer or longer shelf. Take notice of these tabs on the back of your shelves. Insert your shelf tabs into these narrow tab slots. The larger opening is for mounting your backsplash panels. To position the first outer shelf correctly, align its right edge with the center of the shelf support. Magnetically pop the first shelf into place. Repeat this process to install each shelf. For your 3-bay build, our next shelf will be an inner shelf followed by an outer shelf. Before we move on, let's do one last check to ensure our shelves are nicely aligned. Stand at the left side of your structure and look down the length of your shelves. If any shelves are out of alignment, adjust the shelf support wall spacers as needed. You may need to adjust the lashing straps to do so. With our structure complete and displays mounted, let's mount the rest of our components. The Heckler Framework system includes several accessories to support your component installations, such as device panels for small components, 2 RU rack rails for simple rack mount component mounting, fixed camera mounts, and complete locking rack enclosures for configuring your gear off-site. Refer to our user guides for more information on each of these accessories. We've skipped ahead and mounted and wired up our components. Note that we've used the crossbar to route cabling. With our gear mounted, let's install your backsplash panels, front panels, and end cap panels. Before installing your backsplash panels, install these backrests to each shelf support. These keep your backsplash panels fully upright. Install your center backsplash panel first by sliding it up and behind your display with all cables running behind the panel. For inner panels, check to ensure the sliding panel dividers are engaged. These ensure consistent gaps between each panel. Work outward in each direction, like so. Your 2 outer backsplash panels are wider and extend through and beyond your outer shelf supports, so you'll want the panel dividers to be retracted on your 2 outer shelf supports. For panels placed in front of columns, insert the panel's upper edge into the column-mounted support. Depending on your display size, it may be easier to install your backsplash panels by sliding them in from the side. With our backsplash panels installed, let's install the end cap panels. Twist the end cap panel mounts into the upper and lower holes on the outer face of your left and right legs. With the beveled corner of your end cap panel on top and facing the wall, gently but firmly press the end cap panels into place, being sure not to push the post through the material. Finally, let's put the face on your Heckler Framework by installing the front panels. First, we'll install your front panel supports. You'll orient the front panel supports for all inner legs with their panel dividers facing up. For your left and right outermost legs, you'll face the dividers down to allow the longer outer front panels to pass through. To install, insert the front panel support into this opening on the front of each leg and press down until fully seated. Install inner front panels first. Ensure your panel's grain and pattern is consistent throughout the installation. In this case, our textile wrapped panels have a horizontal weave. Slide front panels up into the shelf support channels, then seat the bottom edges into the front panel supports. We'll repeat this technique for all inner panels, then install our 2 outer panels. Adjust panels as needed to ensure consistent panel gaps. And that's it, you're done. You've successfully installed, configured, and paneled your 3-bay Heckler Framework. Heckler Framework is your radically modular, scalable, and globally deployable video meeting wall solution. Whether you're building 1 bay or 12, Heckler Framework installs fast and stays modular for whatever you need, now or 10 years from now. Add or remove bays, swap panels, and upgrade your video meeting gear without hassle or blown budgets. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or would like to speak with our team about your plans for Heckler Framework, follow the links in the description or visit heckler.com.